So today, guys, today's a beautiful day. It is a wonderful Easter. Happy Easter to y'all, guys. But I want to say that we have some huge news today. This literally happened last night after midnight, and it is as wild as it gets, guys. So I hope you're seated because I'm telling you, there's already talk of fraud money involved with what I'm about to tell you. Donald Trump and Elon Musk have both been targeted by the left and the Supreme Court for a lot of things and for two rulings that happened last night in the middle of the night. I'm talking after 12 p.m. Everybody's asleep. They have come out and said that this is not normal for the Supreme Court. What the heck is going on? But these rulings have happened where they are now blocking Trump from being able to enact his deportations of the Venezuelan migrants using the same act that he used to deport the other illegals. And this all happened after midnight, guys. And now Supreme Court Justice Alito has come out and said something's going on. This is not normal that we would force a vote on a measure late at night. He has dissented the decision and said this is not normal and something is going on. Guys, this is huge. Not only that, but please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, I don't know if we can trust the Supreme Court right now. They do not make decisions like this in the middle of the night, especially on something this big. Remember, the ones that all voted against Trump, Amy Coney Barrett, which dang it, Trump appointed, and the other liberal justices are all voting together on these rules and have now blocked Trump from being able to enact his deportation of the illegal Venezuelans. On top of that, they're also going after Elon Musk. So Elon Musk has been trying to audit the Social Security system because, again, he said the deeper that we dig, the more fraud, waste, and abuse we find. He said America needs transparency, and we are going to unveil and reveal all the politicians and congressional leaders that are getting these kickbacks and are involved with this fraud in due time. But we can only access what we're given, and we're not getting to access the full amount. Guys, this is big. Not only are Trump and Elon both getting blocked, but now other people are starting to notice that there's something wrong. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, is this the corruption and fraud that we've been looking for? Because I feel like some of it is now going even into the Supreme Court, guys. The support that rules all. That whenever they rule, it is final. On top of that, we also got good news. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has finally shut down the State Department office that has been censoring free speech. Americans throughout the United States has been officially shut down. This was the same department that was working with Facebook, that was working with X or Twitter. Twitter is now X. All these programs, Instagram to censor Americans has officially been shut down. Guys, so we got a ton of breaking news to go through today, especially dealing with the Supreme Court, and now they've officially blocked Trump. But I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, guys. Thank you so much for your support. To all of our viewers and subscribers, if you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family here at TrueLife News. We want you here. We want to serve you every day with the top news. Want to thank everybody that has given a super chat donation, everybody that is a member of the channel already. Ruby Who, thank you so much for gifting one TrueLife News membership. Y'all show Ruby some love in the chat, and if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button for us, guys, it really does help out so much. This is a beautiful day, but we got some crazy news to get into. The protests are happening. There's fraud and waste that's coming out. Check this out.
Hit the streets today to complain about President Trump's efforts to keep criminals out of the country. Now, the White House is asking the Supreme Court to allow more deportations of Venezuelans under the Alien Enemies Act after they blocked Trump's efforts late last night. This comes as El Salvador is looking to increase capacity at the CCOT mega prison after their president met with Trump this week. And it looks like the extra space will be needed, as FBI Director Kash Patel says over 6,000 3,000 illegal migrants, including 300 plus members of Tren de Aragua, and more than 130 MS-13 members have been arrested since Trump took office. And that includes Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who has been held in CCOT. Abrego Garcia is suspected of being involved in human trafficking by DHS. And now his tattoos are drawing more attention to his affiliation with MS-13. President Trump posting an image on Truth Social saying the tattoos prove his connection to the brutal gang. Kevin Cork is at the White House with the latest. Hi, Kevin.
Great to be with you as always, my friend. Another day and another court challenge to the Trump administration.
Wow.
This time we're speaking of the High Court, the Supreme Court of the United States, blocking temporarily the Trump administration from deporting a second wave of Venezuelan immigrants under, as you mentioned, the Alien Enemies Act. Now, the White House says we're talking...
Guys, can you believe that? Every time Trump goes to actually do his job, protect Americans, get the criminals out of here, he just got blocked by the Supreme Court. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
About Tren de Aragua gang members. But the court, at least so far, has decided to pause the move. Part of an onslaught of litigation to hit the White House, including the fight to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia from El Salvador, a man referred to by ICE, to judges, the intel community, even authorities in El Salvador as an MS-13 gang member.
Wow.
And a man who allegedly beats women, according to an order of protection from 2021, which quoted his then girlfriend, now wife, of accusing him of punching, scratching her, ripping her clothes off. We're not talking about exactly a choir boy here. By the way, Garcia also used a limited term temporary license in 2022. We learned from that from DHS. That showed he was not a U.S. citizen. As for the White House, they remain confident in the lawfulness of their orders, and they are ready to fight into court, and they believe they will be successful. Lydia, back to you.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Kevin Cork, there for us at the White House. Senator Chris Van Hollen isn't the only Democrat trying to grab a drink with Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Cory Booker and at least 3 other House Democrats are trying to take their own trips down to El Salvador as the left makes the alleged MS-13 member the face of their party.
I may be the first member of Congress here, the first senator, but I can assure you more will be coming.
Many of these people are being defamed by Trump TV, defamed by...
Guys, I just had a thought. I got to show you this. So again, remember, the United States has officially, blocked. U.S. Supreme Court temporarily blocks deportations of Venezuelan migrants under wartime law. So now that they've officially blocked it, I feel like there's money involved. Let me know your thoughts. There's money involved. They're scared of this. All these Democrats are going over to what? Venezuela, El Salvador, or wherever to try and bring this guy back. Guys, this doesn't make any sense. How in the world, after midnight, they come out and make this ruling that is not normal, forcing Trump to backtrack on all the stuff that they already had planned? This makes no sense. And it's so bad that Justice Alito came out this morning and has dissented against SCOTUS middle of the night ruling, halting Trump's deportation of criminal aliens. He said, "I refuse to join the court's order because we had no good reason to think that under the circumstances, issuing an order at midnight was necessary or appropriate." Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'm telling you, something is going on right now, and I think it's corruption.
The president, defamed by Pam Bondi, defamed and being labeled things that they may not be.
The Democrats should have someone on the ground in El Salvador every day until Kilmar Abrego Garcia is sent home.
If they can disappear Mr. Abrego Garcia, then they can disappear you.
This is worthy of being on the top agenda of things that we're going to fight over, is get this guy back home.
But they're clearly missing the mark as a majority of Americans stand with President Trump when it comes to immigration.
Back in 2016, just 38% of voters wanted the government to try to deport all 11 million undocumented immigrants. Compared to where we are in 2025, 56%, the majority. The American people have come a long way on this issue, much closer to Donald Trump, and I think that's a big part of the reason why Americans are increasingly saying the country is on the right track when it comes to immigration policy.
A major decision that could set limits on the power of district judges after oral arguments on May 15th.
Guys, if you appreciate us bringing you the truth, showing you the receipts of what's going on, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, because this right here, guys, middle of the night ruling makes no sense.
Obama-appointed judge is blocked from moving forward with contempt proceedings against the Trump administration over its deportation flights to El Salvador last month. Trump has been slapped with the most nationwide court injunctions compared to any other president in recent history. And Raymond, I think we have a full screen that shows just how many court injunctions that we're talking about. Trump during his first term, 64, but that compares to Obama, 12, Biden, 14, and as of March 27th of this year,
15.
17.
70. We're up two more than the last check.
We're up two more.
Look, you have a robed resistance in full array here. These district court judges have decided they are going to be just like the people we saw processing up 6th Avenue earlier today. They are part of the protest and resistance movement. The problem is that's not the court's constitutionally protected power. They are not to protect the homeland and expel immigrants or dangerous aliens. That is the purview of the executive office. And this is what the Supreme Court is going to be working out in the coming days. Does the executive, does the president have the right to expel these individuals who he believes are threats to national security and are obviously guys with deep criminal records who are in most cases members of gangs? I think they're going to come down. Remember, it was just a halt. The Supreme Court just halted the deportations temporarily. The big hearing's coming on May 15th.
Well, as we were talking about, due process is a cornerstone of the U.S. judicial system. You know, it's rooted in the 5th and 14th Amendments. I didn't go to law school, but I think that's right.
Yes.
Thank you. But here's the question. The Constitution doesn't really specify where this due process needs to come from. So President Trump is just saying they are here illegally. A lot of them have criminal activity, including the gentleman in El Salvador right now that we're discussing. He's saying let them have their due process, but let them have it in El Salvador. I don't know why anybody's surprised by this, because it's similar to the Remain in Mexico policy, which was incredibly successful under the first administration, where people can have that due process, they can seek asylum, but just not here.
David, your thoughts?
I am dying to get in on this. Okay.
Dying, do it, David.
Unpeel this and go back to what is due process. Due process is not the same as what people are defining it as, that you require that you come to an American court. If you go through an immigration court, you've received your due process as a criminal illegal alien or even as a civil illegal alien. There are different levels and different processes applied, whether you're an American citizen or lawfully present or not. He was given his due process. He was given a determination in not one but two immigration courts. He was actually given his due process when his now wife requested a temporary restraining order, although she did not show up for the hearing. Due process existed. So we're mixing this higher level with the fact that he has received due process.
And these Venezuelans, the court is only saying you all have a right to protest your deportation. They're not saying they have a right to the whole gambit of due process claims. Well, that's not what they're saying. Just the deportation challenge.
Well, you're right. And we have to also remember, a lot of these people weren't seeking this legal due process until after they were picked up by ICE.
Right. Yep.
If they actually followed the law of the land, this wouldn't necessarily be an issue. But it's up to SCOTUS, and we're going to see what they're going to find.
Guys, let me know what you think, guys. Where is SCOTUS going to land at? Because when we look at all this middle of the night rulings, middle of the night makes no sense. New York Post came out and says Supreme Court blocks new deportations of Venezuelans in Texas under 18th century. I hate it when they say that. 18th century wartime law. Well, guess what? The Declaration of Independence, all these, we have so many things from the 18th century, but we still live by them today. What does it matter? If it's the law, it's the law. And think about it like this, guys. All four justices, lady justices, are siding together on all these things, including Amy Coney Barrett. And it's so bad, guys, it's so bad that Justice Alito dissented the decision and said, you know what? I can't have anything to do with this. He has dissented against SCOTUS middle of the night ruling, halting Trump's deportations. Nothing is right about this. Nothing smells right. Nothing looks right. Nothing feels right. He said, I refuse to join the court's order because we had no good reason to think that under the circumstances, issuing an order at midnight, you heard me guys, midnight, was necessary or appropriate. Thank you, sir. I can't believe this, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This blows my mind. Summerman, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. He said, have faith. God will do what needs to be done. Have faith and be strong. Amen. And Lay Lewis for her continued support of the channel. Y'all show them some love in the chat. Because it's getting, I like, guys, when we bring this to you, it's just like I'm researching like crazy what is actually going on. And I'm finding that there is possible fraud in here. Money involved, guys. Listen to this.
This movement to get our sovereignty back and the freedoms of the American people against the globalists. The globalists today who are mocking President Trump around the country as no king day or no king day. These are the same people that are now making a huge deal over a trafficker, human trafficker, and a bad guy, and a criminal who was sent out of this country, came here illegally, and was sent out of this country, and they're all loving up on it. That's what the Democrats want to love up. They're exposing themselves every day. More importantly, these people, this is about mass deportations. We have 10 million illegal alien invaders here on Biden's watch. I'm not talking about the people who came before. Let's just deal with the people who came here on Biden's watch, because that's enough to deal with right now, 10 million. We know the other day we walked through with Todd Bensman. We've walked through with Eric Prince's 1.6 million have final deportation orders. And then there's another 2 million that basically these phony temporary status are burning off. So you got 3.5 million, let's say 3.6. That could go over the next couple of years as you get the funding, because we need now we're told we need $170 billion of infrastructure and other funding to do this. Or the House saying 90 billion, the Senate saying 170. But this is a direct strike at American sovereignty, right back to the revolution. Are you going to allow 10 million? Would those folks that stood at Lexington Common and stood at the Concord Bridge, if you were to tell them that, hey, on the 250th anniversary of this, a quarter of a millennium from now, that the country, the United States of America, that came from your efforts here, that we would have 10 million illegal alien invaders in the country, in a minority of the country, was not just fine with that, we were fighting with it to make sure that they never were forced out of the country.
Guys, this literally happened in 4 years. Less than 4 years. That's what blows my mind. People don't think it's important to vote for president. Don't think it's important to vote for your congressional leaders. Look what they did in less than 4 years.
They would go, no, that's insanity. That won't happen. But it is happening, and that's the current fight for liberty and freedom. We're either a country or we're not. We either have our sovereignty or we don't. We either have our territorial integrity or we don't. It's very simple. These are not up for debate. You either got it or you don't have it. If you don't have it, you're something else. You're what the globalists want. You're Paul Ryan's America's an idea. No, dude, it ain't an idea. Do you think those guys and led by Margaret Kemper Gage, who gave the information to Dr. Warren, who gave the information to the Sons of Liberty, who gave the information to Paul Revere and Dawes and Prescott, they could do the ride, the midnight ride, to inform the militias in Lexington and in Concord, so people could be out to meet the British. We've played the Grenadier song. What did Wellington call his troops? The scum of the earth. But absolutely tough, hard-bitten as you could possibly get. Just like the Royal Navy. They used to always call the sailors the scum of the earth, but they were the best. They were the toughest. Stick-to-itiveness. That's who they were up against. What are we up against today? Starting on Monday, we get so much, and it's good. Hey, that it's all coming together. You live in a blessed. You are blessed to live in this time. This divine providence and God's wisdoms put you here and now, and put you as a member of this War Room Posse. So you have a responsibility now. You have a duty. You have a dharma. Okay, as the Hindus say, you've been awakened. You cannot turn away from it. You can't turn away from your destiny, because just like the revolutionary generation, if we don't quit, we win. Theirs was, and that's why Washington retreated all the time, to keep the army intact. An army in being eventually would defeat the British. That's why he continued to retreat. We'll do all this when we go through this summer. Once again, the 4th of July. Remember, an expeditionary force landed on, wait for it, July 3rd. I think...
Guys, that's why I tell you, like you said, if we don't keep fighting, they will, because they're going to keep fighting to cover it up. Federal judge temporarily limits DOGE's access to Social Security data over privacy concerns. That's what they say, privacy concerns. But guess what? What did DOGE just find? That there was over 13.2 million dead people on the Social Security, and some of them receiving benefits on Medicare and Medicaid, some of them voting. You heard me right, voting. They're cleaning all that stuff up, and they said, we want to dig deeper. We want to make sure that there's no more fraud, waste, and abuse. And now a judge said, whoa. We're going to hold on this. We don't want you to access their private data. Guys, they're just trying to cover it up. If you appreciate going for the truth, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, thank you so much for your support. But also, let me know your thoughts, because again, it's not just one, it's every single move that the administration takes. These federal district court judges are there to stop them. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. If we do not keep fighting, they're going to always stay in power.
They knew they were going to get into a gunfight, okay? I think these brothers knew that it was coming down, and coming down hard. Think about what they came down with us, with all the going to jail, you're going to take deplatform and take your credit cards and debank and everything like that. Hey, they were just as tough back then and just as vicious. This is not a garden party. It wasn't a garden party back then. What are we commemorating today? A gunfight. That's what we're commemorating, a gunfight. Just like OK Corral, just like you're just like Tage Girl's going to join us in a second. We're commemorating a gunfight. Not a lot of highfalutin rhetoric. Come and take it, right? You're commemorating a gunfight of Solomon Brown and Colonel Parker and the militia. A lot of French and Indian War veterans to do something about how to get on with it, right? Against some grenadiers, an expeditionary force. Guys have been all over the place. Pretty tough nuts. Let's go. Let's get it on. Then later at Concord Bridge, the colonists could have fled, could have run. They didn't run. They dug in and said, no, don't think you're going to cross this.
Guys, let me show you this. That everybody, I don't know if you're a fan of him or not, you probably know who he is, but everybody is coming out and saying, fraud. Fraud. It's what it is. No, not much to it. It's what they found. Listen to this.
100% of the intelligent human beings walking around realize that the waste is really freaking ridiculous. Yeah. For the first time in modern history, everybody's talked about it. No one's ever done anything. Not in the GOP and not in the Dems. None of them have ever done anything. It takes this wild animal to go in there with a dadgum machete and a bunch of Gen Zs with algorithms and start stacking those cash flows and looking at this going, well, look at there. You know, we've got a transgender college that we just put $150 million in India or whatever. I made that up. But I mean, this stuff is coming out. It's like science fiction is so bizarre. It's not even a debate about how whacked it is. It's just whacked.
You see that, guys? I'm telling you, like, and Dave Ramsey, you know, he usually stays out of the spotlight. But every single thing that's pulling up now, guys, Trump came out and tweeted, and I say tweet, I can't believe I just said that, posted and said, "We are together going to make America bigger, better, stronger, wealthier, healthier, and more religious than it has ever been before. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America." You support this message, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. That's a nice picture. That's a good picture of Trump right there. Nice white teeth. Lay Lewis, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Lay some love in the chat. Guys, the Supreme Court stuff is getting me, guys. Listen to this, because we got more details, guys. We're digging deeper.
But he's also the chairman of the Energy Committee. Senator, Chairman, thank you so much for joining us. I want to get right after this birthright citizenship. You've talked about this for a long time. You're a key member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. What's the case? Can it be won? What do you think the court is going to be looking at first when they do it, I believe, on May 15th?
Yeah, look, Jason, this is a fascinating case. It's a close case. It can be won. No one knows the outcome for sure. But one thing that's important for everyone to keep in mind, this case is not about whether birthright citizenship exists, nor does it undermine the 14th Amendment's birthright citizenship promise. This is rather about what the contours of birthright citizenship look like, whether or not you can be someone who's born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. It's that second phrase in the 14th Amendment, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, that we're looking at here. What President Trump has done is issued an executive order directing agencies prospectively not to recognize the birthright citizenship of people born after the moment of this order's issuance, saying that they won't be recognized as birthright citizens unless at the time of their birth they had at least one parent who was either a citizen or a lawful permanent resident. And so this is a close question, is it a debatable case, and I think it could go either way. I look forward to hearing the arguments, and I hope that the Supreme Court will sustain what President Trump's trying to do to clean up this invasion that President Biden invited into our country.
So does it require legislation then, or how do we get a definitive answer as to whether or not you come, let's say you come into the country illegally, you park yourself in Arkansas and then decide, okay, you have a baby 8 weeks later, is that person a citizen? How do we clean that up and have a definitive answer?
Look, ideally, we should pass legislation like what I've introduced, but I wasn't the first to introduce it. The first I've found of somebody who was trying to introduce this was a senator named Harry Reid. Harry Reid, who later became the Senate Democratic majority leader, introduced in 1993 legislation that would do essentially what President Trump is trying to do by executive order. So yeah, passing a statute through Congress would be the easiest, cleanest, most effective way of clarifying this. But
that's what I hate. Oh, it has to go through Congress. Nothing ever gets done with Congress except budget, paying for the government, or basically that's it. Nothing ever gets done. No new laws that actually make a difference get done, that actually need to happen, that create a defining moment for America. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, is birthright citizenship, what is it? Should it be allowed? Just because you have a baby in the United States and you're illegal, is that baby now a citizen? And a lot of people are saying no.
Still doesn't resolve the question before us, before the court this coming week, which it really involves whether or not the president can do this by executive order.
Now, it does seem that the courts seem to be running this country. They don't believe that the president of the United States is the chief executive officer. The degree to which these judges are going to put in injunctions and handcuff the president of the United States from deporting people is unbelievable. What's your take on that in general, but specifically what came down from the Supreme Court regarding the Venezuelans and trying to get them back to their home country?
Look, like a lot of Americans, I feel a profound sense of frustration. at the fact that we've got this situation over the last 4 years. We've had, depending on who you listen to, anywhere from 15 million to 20 plus million illegal immigrants brought into this country, essentially at the invitation of President Biden, with the welcoming arms of then Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas, saying, come on in. And so we've been flooded with millions, some would say tens of millions of illegal immigrants. It can't be like getting an act of Congress every time you want to export a dangerous, a violent, felon illegal immigrant. And yet you've got people like Judge Boasberg, who apparently wish they had gone into politics and would rather be serving as president of the United States than a federal district judge, who are essentially cosplaying as chief executive officers of the United States government. The minute you start to have judicial officers performing the tasks that belong fundamentally to either the executive or legislative branch, you've got a problem. And I'm hoping the Supreme Court can help us get this cleared up and cleared up quickly.
Guys, I will say this, the exposure of all this corruptness, because remember, we didn't know any of it was actually happening, but this was happening behind the scenes. Let me know your thoughts. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, it blows my mind, because again, if Trump doesn't win, we don't know anything of what is actually happening and how this country is actually being ran.
Senator, while we have you, I do need to ask you about the SAVE Act that you've introduced, the idea that people should have to present certain documentation when voting. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Jason, we want to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat. There are those in this country who want to make it really easy to cheat, and we can't let that happen. There is a law passed roughly 30 years ago called the National Voter Registration Act. The Supreme Court has wrongly interpreted that to prohibit the states from even asking about somebody's citizenship or providing proof of citizenship. So the SAVE Act would require that when registering to vote in a U.S. election, you should have to produce proof of citizenship. Now, look, every American has to do this every time they start a new job. They have to fill out an I-9 form. The critics of the SAVE Act have engaged in all kinds of hyperbolic mudslinging with regard to this legislation, claiming that it's going to make it harder for certain people to vote. It's just not true. Look, if you've ever had a job, you've had to fill out an I-9 and you've had to prove that you're a U.S. citizen. If anything, the SAVE Act makes it easier than the I-9 does to prove your citizenship, but you do need to prove it. Americans overwhelmingly, and we're talking 85% of Americans, agree that if you're not a U.S. citizen, you should not vote in U.S. elections, and that's all the SAVE Act does. We need to pass this through Congress this year. We need to get it done.
Can it be attached to the reconciliation package?
I would love to be able to attach that to the reconciliation package, because that would allow us to move it through the Senate with only a simple majority vote. We'll make every effort that we can to do that. It doesn't quite fit the profile of something that could normally be passed through reconciliation, but we'll give it a shot.
You see that, guys? It's every single time. There's always something. Always something. And what blows my mind is this right here. Like, I don't understand how the Supreme Court can sit back, look at this and say, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, that's perfectly okay. Let's just let in all these hundreds of thousands of inadmissible aliens from Venezuela, Nicaragua, Haiti. Oh, yeah, we're just going to keep blocking Trump from being able to do what he said he was going to do as president of the United States. Thank you so much, Pedro Orlando, for the super chat. Y'all show Pedro some love in the chat. Let me tell you this. I don't know what I think is wrong with our justice system is that they've been bought off. Because they've been bought off, doesn't matter who's president. Doesn't matter what law's in place. They will circumvent it, figure out their own way to have whoever has paid them off. That's how they want it to be. Jay Ewers, happy Easter. He is risen and the grave is empty. Amen. Y'all show Jay Ewers some love in the chat. Because there's, guys, no common sense says something's wrong with this. At the very, a 5-year-old could figure that out. That's how bad our system is right now. But check this out. Let me know your thoughts.
Democrats, as I've been showing you tonight, like Senator Chris Van Hollen, they are so upset about this deportation, he's going to fly himself down to El Salvador on your dime to secure the release of an illegal alien MS-13 gang member. And CNN happens to love the thought of this.
I've not heard back from the president of El Salvador. And as I said in that letter, if I don't hear from him and Abrego Garcia is not quickly returned, I do intend to go to El Salvador this week to show.
Again, I gotta say this. You're telling me he's gonna go to El Salvador to rescue an illegal alien. Senator, woke superhero, everybody. Woke superhero. And then tell the president of El Salvador to deport one of his own citizens. Have you seen a Democrat work that hard for an American? I don't think I've seen Democrats work hard in general. Here's Adam Schiff, one of your favorites.
So the administration grabs this guy off the street, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He is from El Salvador originally. He came to this country illegally, but a court found that if he were returned, he might be the victim of gang violence. So there was a temporary order not to deport him.
Boy, he really wants to get to the bottom of this. He cares. So this judge grants a temporary order not to deport this guy because he might be the victim of it here. The Democrats want you to feel bad and about an illegal alien who's an MS-13 gang member, how he might be the victim of gang violence because he brought it on himself. This is a joke. How can they defend this with a straight face? If you live by the sword, you die by the sword just as well. The guy signed up for the thug life, and now the American government is maybe supposed to be somehow responsible for him, protect him. I feel like we're in the Twilight Zone. By the way, fleeing a country because of crime is not a valid claim for asylum. We looked this up. And even if it were, you're supposed to make that claim in the first safe nation. There's about a half dozen safe nations between here and El Salvador. This has absolutely nothing to do with the rule of law because he shouldn't have been given protection in the first place here in America. And you know what? We already got problems here. Why do we want to import more of it? This is what is going on in Dearborn, Michigan.
The people here, I promise you, we do feel ashamed. We do feel like we're not doing enough. We do feel like change needs to come because change must come. And in the form that it must come is that this empire, the American empire that's been hurting our people since the beginning, the imperial Western powers that have been hurting our people since the beginning, they must fall. And inshallah, they will fall. And my message to the people of Gaza and the oppressed peoples across the world is that there are people here, both young and old, who are going to be willing to fight and are willing to put their lives and everything they can on the line to bring these empires down because they must come down.
So that's...
This dude literally just said we need to bring this empire down. This is what's happened in Michigan, guys. Kind of what he said, they're willing to give their lives to bring this empire down. Kind of sounds like domestic terrorism to me. Guys, it just blows my mind that they're giving whoever that news network was, we're reporting on it, you know, they're showing it to report of what was said, but these people are losing it. And when you threaten the United States like that, guys, I'm not... Let me know your thoughts. What should happen to guys like that? Because you're literally calling for violence. That's what he said.
Gary, that guy's in Michigan, and Democrats want to bring back an illegal alien who's a member of a terrorist organization. I mean, if there were a plan to destroy America, everybody, this would be it. This would be it. Which is why the Trump administration needs to purge immigration judges, just like they've done to federal agencies in D.C., and they can do it. These judges, they are not Article 3 judges, which means they are not appointed and not confirmed by the Senate. They're employees of the Department of Justice, and many of them have a record of granting asylum in the 90% range. So, for example, let's take San Francisco Judge Amber George. She grants nearly a 95% asylum rate. According to her, virtually every claim is a legitimate claim.
Guys, I'm telling you, there's no way this is right. This immigration judge, 94.8%? Come on. Like, there's so much corruptness in this one image that we're showing you. It's unreal. Because again, too, we showed you the charts. I promise you, people are getting paid off.
Either very gullible
or an open border fanatic. Either way, this is a rubber stamp to legitimize illegal aliens. They pay attention to this stuff. They see it. They come here. Amber George and the rest of them should be removed because there's no reason to keep these judges on the payroll if they are approving every request. They're actually not even doing their jobs. Meanwhile, you have Democrats fighting to actually bring back illegal aliens from deportation. So think about that one. That's a new argument with all this. A Pandora's box, maybe, would be open up. How many are we going to bring back then? How many from deportation are we going to bring back to the United States if this precedent is set? I'm sure lots of them have set up shop here, anchored in with families. It's absolutely clear the Democrats want to replace American citizens with a new obedient population, a population indebted to them. It makes sense, right? And they can only achieve that with unfettered illegal immigration, activist judges, shutting down the border, everybody, which Trump has done, is only part of the solution. The Trump administration needs to start looking at these immigration judges. And frankly, we got to get rid of them or it's only going to get worse.
Yes, get rid of the guys, again, immigration judges that literally vote 94% of the time to give asylum. You're not doing your job. You're just passing through people, and then they're most likely going to be voters because you're probably handing them benefits from the taxpayer dollars. Guys, if you appreciate the truth, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, this blows my mind. The stuff that we get to report to you when it comes to the Supreme Court that has blocked deportations of Venezuelan migrants, it's so bad that Justice Alito dissented on the decision because it happened after midnight. No, there's no way there's not something wrong here. Where there's smoke, there's fire, guys. And that's why we're here to show you the truth of what is actually going on behind the scenes. What is happening? Because, again, you're not going to see this on mainstream media, guys. It blows my mind. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much, Megyn Cowdery, there it is, for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Megyn some love in the chat. I want to see the truth, guys, and that's what I want to bring you. Because the more and more that we dig into, what is Trump's focus? Where's his mind at? Check this out.
Quickly, we want to get it done. We're talking about here people dying. We're talking about over there people are dying also. Like on average, 2,500 young people, soldiers. They're not from America. They're not from anywhere else other than Ukraine and Russia. But we want to save these lives. So it's 2,500 a week are being killed in battle. It's a vicious battle with the best equipment, the best everything, and it is brutal. 2,500 young people a week. Some of them not so young, actually. They're getting older. They're getting older by the month. But 2,500 a week, and we're going to get it stopped ideally. Now, if for some reason one of the two parties makes it very difficult, we're just going to say you're foolish, you're fools, you're horrible people, and we're going to just take a pass. But hopefully we won't have to do that. Now, Marco's right in saying it. We want to see it end. Think of it. Every day, a lot of people are being killed as we talk about, as they play games. So we're not going to take that, and we'll see. I think we have a good chance of solving the problem, however. Yeah.
Are you prepared to walk away completely from these efforts and these talks?
Well, I don't want to say that, but we want to see it end. We want to see it end, yeah.
Is Vladimir Putin stalling, in your view, Mr. President?
I hope not. We're going to let you know about that soon if he is, but I hope not. He's got a big force out there, big force. It's a war that should have never happened. It would have never happened if I was president. That's a war, and it didn't happen for 4 years. That's a war that should have never happened. October 7th, Israel would have never happened. Iran was broke. And now we'll see what happens with Iran. We have a lot of them out there. We have a lot of things that we're working on right now that shouldn't have happened. None of it. Ukraine would have never happened with Russia. October 7th would have never happened, so you wouldn't have had all the problems in the Middle East. The Afghanistan embarrassment, probably the most embarrassing day in the history of our country, would have never happened. Inflation would have never happened. By the way, prices are down. Groceries are down. Eggs, which you hit me so hard, I'll never forget the first day, first week in office, they were screaming at me about eggs. I said, what's going on with eggs? They were doubling and tripling. I said, I just got here. They were up like double, triple, and you couldn't get any. And they said, you won't have eggs for Easter. Well, you can have all the eggs you want. I'll tell you, Brooke Rollins, Secretary of Agriculture, did a great job. And the egg prices are down 87%.
Wow!
But nobody talks about that. You can have all the...
I have not heard one media outlet, not even Fox, anybody say, yup, average egg prices are down 87%, baby. That's a big win.
Eggs you want. We have too many eggs. In fact, if anything, the prices are getting too low. So I just want to let you know, prices are down. Gasoline yesterday in 3 states hit $1.98 a gallon. And it looks like it's at a level that it hasn't seen since my days, my 4 years. So it's about I'd say maybe, I think we're going to be averaging $2.25 very soon. So I just want to let you know, though, because I keep hearing about prices and inflation. Prices are coming down, not going up. Only the fake news says they're going up. The only thing that's even are interest rates. And if we had a Fed chairman that understood what he was doing, interest rates would be coming down too. He should bring them down. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, what do you need to see from both sides in order to keep negotiations going? What do you want to see from Russia and Ukraine?
I have to see. My whole life has been one big negotiation, and I know when people are playing us, and I know when they're not, and I have to see an enthusiasm to want to end it. And I think I see that enthusiasm. I think I see it from both sides.
Do you think Russia?
But you're going to know soon.
Do you think Russia's playing you?
No, nobody's playing me. I'm trying to help. This was Biden's war, by the way. By me getting involved, they'll say, oh, it's Trump. This is not Trump's war. This is Biden. This is a war that should have never happened. Okay? Think of it. Those cities are crushed and crashed, and all those beautiful steeples, the most beautiful in the world, actually considered the most beautiful in the world, most of them are now smashed to smithereens, as they say, and lying on the ground in a million pieces. Those towns are crushed, the whole place. It's so horrible. And millions of people are dead, far more than you think. That's one thing you're going to get out of this war. You're going to find out that your estimates are far lower than, it's far worse than people think. Nobody's playing anybody. We are going to see if we can get it done. I think we have a really good chance of getting it done, and it's coming to a head right.
Guys, is it like just right there? How many bombshells did he just drop right there? And look, this is all that they're focusing on right now, guys. Is these this is where these unjust injunctions. Gas prices are down. World is moving towards peace. The border is secure. Egg prices are down. Job growth is up. Trump is we're getting so many billions of dollars in tariff revenue, guys. And then this is what the Democrats are focused on. Let's get Trump down. Let's put injunctions on him. There's no way in God's green earth that this right here is not biased. There's not money behind this, and there's not any type of fraud or any corruption that's not behind this, guys. This is insane. EU Kika, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Say, Joel, thank you for bringing the truth. Pray for Trump's triumph. Let's go. Y'all show EU Kika some love in the chat. And what's new for gifting 5 TrueLife News memberships? Let's go. Grow in the TrueLife News fam. If you got a free membership, show what's new some love in the chat. And Fia Tuyano. Hopefully I said that right. Y'all show Fia some love in the chat. And again, what's new? Who said, I trust my President Trump and the American Avengers, baby. I love it, guys. The Avengers. That's where we're at right now. Because I'm going to show you one, guys. The more and more that we dig into this, make sure y'all show what's new, EU Kika and Fia some love in the chat. The real true patriots are revealing themselves. The people that actually want to put America first. The people that actually believe that, you know what? This is common sense and this is making everybody in America better. Listen to this.
Let's bring in Congressman Byron Donalds. Congressman, great to see you tonight. How did Democrats find themselves in this position so eagerly to align themselves with MS-13?
Honestly, because the Democrats have been beaten so badly by Donald Trump, the only thing they can do is oppose him, even when they're going to stand with a gang member who had a legal deportation order, was in the country illegally, and was deported. And they would rather stand with that person than stand with the American people who want criminal illegal aliens deported out of this country. The polling has said that consistently. Donald Trump won a mandate last November to do this, but they don't care. They're just so caught up in opposing Donald Trump, they don't realize that they're opposing the American people. So if Chris Van Hollen or any other Democrat wants to go to El Salvador to go have brunch with Kilmar Garcia, be my guest, but all you're going to do is lose more elections in the United States.
The story they're trying to tell, as you heard there from that clip, Congressman, of Ezra Klein at the New York Times, is it's not so much about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, it's about you watching at home, you who oppose Donald Trump. They're trying to suggest if he can take away Abrego Garcia, he can take away you, the average American. What do you say to that?
You know, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. They should be ashamed of themselves because they didn't care when Joe Biden was dismissing our soldiers because they didn't want to take a vaccine. They didn't care when the Biden administration was suppressing the free speech of the American people. They didn't care when the Biden administration ignored federal immigration and border security laws and allowed more than 10 million people to come into this country illegally. They didn't care about any of that. What they do care about is that Donald Trump is following the law and following the mandate of the American people and sending illegals back to their home country.
Yes.
They care about that. This is why the Democrats are in shambles.
And if, in fact, say Chris Van Hollen got his way and the Supreme Court and the Trump administration decided that facilitate meant bring back Abrego Garcia, what would happen, in your understanding, Congressman, what would happen if for some reason President Bukele and President Trump decided to return Abrego Garcia to America?
I think what you would see is more mass illegal immigration into the United States because it would be a signal to the drug cartels, to the coyotes, and to the criminals south of the border that America is back open for illegal immigration. If our president doesn't have the ability to deport criminal illegal aliens, then you have no ability to secure the nation, and secure our southern border. You simply don't have it. It would reopen the scourge of illegal immigration that the American people have soundly rejected.
I think that's absolutely right. You know, I thought your answer would be, and my answer would have been, that he would be deported back immediately. He'd be returned and then deported. But you make a great point that if he were returned, it would be an invitation to every other, not just illegal immigrant, but criminal legal immigrant to make their way to the United States. The power of incentive. Congressman Byron Donalds, always great to see you. Thank you for your time.
Guys, let me show you this, because look, you can't make this stuff up. I think you're going to get some enjoyment out of this. Listen to this, guys. Oh my goodness. New Mexico Democrat judge resigns. He's a Democrat. After ICE arrest alleged Tren de Aragua gang member in his home. Guys, what the heck is going on? Is this not nuts? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, some of this, I'm just like, what news is coming out? Look, I know we got some corruption. I know there's some craziness out there. But dang it, this is like next level. And what I love too, guys, because I love our pit bulls that come out. That's what I'm showing you right now is our pit bulls that are actually going, even have the strength to go into these other networks and tell the truth. Because if you don't, how will the left ever know? And that's why I appreciate when you share and like these videos, guys. We want everybody to see the truth. Check this out.
His public comments. The president said he doesn't plan to, but let me just play something that you said. This is a couple months ago during a confirmation hearing for some of the president's DOJ officials. Take a listen. I'll get your reaction on the other side.
Don't ever take the position that you're not going to follow the order of a federal court. Now, all our judiciary has an equal branch of government, has its legitimacy. It doesn't have an army. Don't ever say you're not going to follow the order of a court.
Do you believe that President Trump is following the orders of the courts right now?
Yes. And I don't believe that President Trump will defy a federal judge's order. If he does, I'll call him out on it. I believe what I said in the clip. I love the rule of law. I love it like the devil loves sin. I think if we start not following federal judicial orders, we undermine the system entirely. Now, that doesn't mean you can't criticize them. You can criticize them, you can appeal them, but you can't choose to not follow them. And I haven't seen President Trump do that. And if he does, I'll say very loudly and clearly that I think he's wrong.
Okay. Let me ask you about something else President Trump said this week. He said he would like to send what he called, and I'm quoting him, homegrown criminals, meaning U.S. citizens, to foreign prisons like the one in El Salvador. Senator, do you think the law allows the President of the United States to send U.S. citizens to a foreign prison?
No, ma'am. Nor should it be considered appropriate or moral. We have our own laws. We have the 8th Amendment to the Constitution. We shouldn't send prisoners to foreign countries, in my judgment.
Okay, let me switch gears here a little bit, ask you about President Trump's agenda, because I know y'all are going to be very focused on that. Senate Republicans split right now, Senator, over whether to allow tax hikes on wealthy Americans as a part of that budget bill that you're trying to pass. Bloomberg News is reporting that the House proposal would set the rate at 40% for taxpayers earning $1 million or more per year. That's up from the current top tax rate of 37%. Senator, would you support increasing?
37%. They want to raise it to 40%. I don't care how much money you make, guys. And there's nowhere where it is right. We're talking about right or wrong. That if somebody busts their butt, because we all know, it's very hard to make $1 million a year. Average American makes $60,000. For the government to think that they have the right to 40% of your money when you make over $1 million, so every dollar you make, they take 40 cents of it because they say you need to pay your fair share. Are you kidding me? The amount of work that it takes to become that wealthy is astronomical. Why do you think the average American makes $60,000? Guys, I'm all for fairness, but you don't tax people that make a lot of money into oblivion. You do what's fair. Because a person who makes $1 million and pays 20% in taxes pays $200,000 to the government. A person who makes $100,000 who pays 20% in taxes pay $20,000. I feel like $200,000 is a lot more than $20,000. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Tax rate on wealthy Americans?
I'm not sure yet. I'd like to see the language. Here are my thoughts, Kristen, generally. I don't believe in making tax policy on the basis of class warfare. And I think the people who are raising this issue, they're entitled to, of course, but they're asking the wrong question. I listened under President Biden, my Democratic colleagues for 4 years asked, who needs to pay more in taxes? That, to me, is the wrong question. The right question is, what the hell happened to the money? And I hope that's the question that we address fundamentally in the reconciliation.
But, Senator, it sounds like you're leaving the door open to the possibility that you could ultimately, at some point, support an increase in taxes if you thought it was the best way to get that budget bill over the finish line?
Man, she really pulled on that one hard. So you're telling me that maybe just kind of, sort of, in some scenario of some kind, you would support a tax increase?
Well, we're in the process of putting the bill together. And here's what will probably happen. The House and the Senate will spend about I don't know, hopefully no more than 60 days, trying to reach a consensus. Everything's on the table. We won't reach a consensus. And then we'll have to go to the White House and meet with the president. And after a few hugs and a cup of hot cocoa, the president will arbitrate here and say this is in and this is out. And then he's going to have to put his muscle behind it to pass it. But this bill is important. It's our way of lowering prices. You lower prices by cutting spending, by deregulating the economy, and by designing a tax code that looks like somebody designed it on purpose in a way that stimulates growth so wages go up.
Senator,
and that's my objective in all this.
Senator, we are almost out of time, but as you know, tensions have been mounting between the president and the Fed chair. Would you support President Trump removing Jerome Powell as Fed chair?
That's a big one.
I don't think any president has the right to remove the Federal Reserve chairman. I think the Federal Reserve ought to be independent. I think that Jay Powell and President Trump need to sit down and once again have a hug and a cup of hot cocoa and work it out. My experience with Jay Powell is that he's got tiger blood. He's going to do what he thinks is right. And he's not going to go down in history as the Federal Reserve chairman that allowed inflation to become wild as a March hare. And he's going to do what he thinks he's got to do.
All right, Senator Kennedy, thank you so much. I want to wish you and your family a very...
Guys, let me tell you this. It's just, I don't... There's so much this is coming out right here, guys. SCOTUS breaking all norms by by effectively vetoing the Alien Enemies Act. It's just, I don't understand it, guys. I do not understand it. We're supposed to be protecting America, getting the criminals out. In less than 4 years, they brought in over 20 million. Trump's trying to get them out, and now they say they want to give every single illegal immigrant a court case. Trump estimated that it would take over 100 years to go through every single one of them. The Democrats knew what they were doing. They knew they were importing voters. They knew that if it got to a point where Trump won, that they would still ultimately win because there's no way you can get through enough judges. We don't have enough judges. We can't put it as priority. Like, guys, is this not evil? Is this not... This is chess again. Like, Trump's playing chess, but I'm telling you, there's smart people on the other side that knew. Just bring them all in. Just open the borders. Just doesn't matter because you know what? We'll just make it so that every single one of them has to have a court case. And that way, they'll never be able to deport them. Because that's what's happening right now, guys. It's sickening. They're taking taxpayer benefits. They've never paid into the system. They came in illegally. It's really wrong to those that came in legally. But that's the state of the Democratic mind. They don't care. They will print as much money as they want to. They will import their voters because they have to. And this is why we need voter ID. And this is why we need that even if you're here illegally, and even if we can't deport you because of a case, you cannot vote. You cannot become a citizen till you go through your case. You are a non-citizen. And we have to have voter ID in order for us to have free and fair elections of Americans in the United States. EU Kika, thank you so much for the super chat. Said new advertisement for 2026. Primary for Democrats. Vote for a Democrat is a vote for MS-13 and TDA terrorist gangs on the streets of America. Sick. And Ava Bernard, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Ava and EU Kika some love in the chat. Because again, it's when, if we have people on all these network guys trying to bring the truth, but the people in charge, they got this involved. And because they got this involved, doesn't matter what the populace says.
Yeah, listening to Van Hollen explain all this, like if you're explaining how you came to be sipping margaritas with an MS-13 gangbanger who's lived illegally in the United States for 14 years before he was finally deported, you're losing, okay? You're losing. You're losing optically, you're losing politically, and I assume that people of Maryland are wondering, why doesn't this guy ever work as hard for us as he does for this guy who's down in El Salvador, which, by the way, is where he's from in the first place? Look, you know, macro view for me, the American people elected Donald Trump to deport illegal aliens. They especially elected him to deport people who are affiliated with very violent transnational gangs that we now characterize as terrorist organizations. I think he's doing his job, and I think the American people are behind him, and I think the Democrats like Van Hollen look ridiculous standing up for him more than they stand up for the people of the United States of America who are actually citizens of this country.
Such common sense, guys. If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, I want to say thank you to our viewers, our subscribers, guys, that are watching. If you're not subscribed, please consider joining our family, guys. We want you here. Tomorrow is the big day. Remember, on the Tuesday's the big day. We're going to give thousands of dollars to the local charity because of your support live on stream. When you're a member of the channel, when you give a super chat, we donate this. And it's all because of you that we're growing our donations. I'm so excited for what's coming. This is a giving channel. And I want us to continue growing this community. Thank you so much to everybody that shares these videos, that likes these videos. It means the world to us. We just want to bring the truth, guys. That's what it's all about. I want to give some love to Ruby Hoove, Summerman, Lay Lewis, OGD Dog, Megyn Cowdery, Sandra Esparza, Pedro Orlando, Jay Ewers, Megyn Cowdery, EU Kika, What's New, Fia Tuano, and Ava Bernard, guys. Y'all show them some love in the chat. We love you all so much. Appreciate your support. Remember, we're gonna start shipping off the shirts in the next couple of days. You should have them by the end of the week. We're so thank you for your support. We're going to be posting. We have limited quantities, guys. Limited edition, but we just thank you so much for your support. We're here to serve you, guys. We love you. We thank you. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.